There has been a new terms and conditions on CapCut, so I have been struggling recently. Do not moan at me for not posting for 2 months. I am so sorry about that. I will explain everything if you ask me to in the comments, but this isn't that kind of video right now, so leave me alone. Anyone else wonder why animation just doesn't quite feel right anymore? Wonder why animation back in its early years seemed to be extraordinarily better than modern animation? In a time where animation should be at its peak? Well, you're in luck, my friends, because Liv is here to explain it for you. The industry is now. No, I'm kidding, that's not the reason I'm gonna give. Animation is beloved by many people, young and old. Animation isn't just for kids' entertainment, it can also be for adults too. But recently it has been significantly moved more towards animating as if it's just for kids. Animation has become more lifeless and lacks a lot of depth that earlier animation had. A good example of this is The Croods. The Croods is an animated movie about cave people, to put it into the most easiest example of what the movie's about. And there is a big gap between their first movie and their second movie. If I put 2 clips of the different movies together, which one do you think looks more visually realistic? The first movie's animation has been completely shoved to the side in modern day animation, and I think that is one of the worst decisions that animation has ever made. If you watch through the Croods movie, then you'll see just how beautiful that kind of animation can be, how detailed it is compared to the modern day. The eyes have more life in them, the hair feels more realistic and natural, the clothes actually look like fur. Are you telling me that you can look at this and tell me that that looks like real fur? It doesn't. They don't even look like cave people anymore because their hair now suddenly looks like it gets washed every day. The beard now looks like it's getting freshly shaved. They don't even look like they've come fresh from the wild anymore. The first movie showed scars, textured skin, dirt from being outside constantly. These are all things that give depth into the character designs, and it's wasted to be placed into the category of modern animation. This isn't even the only example I have. There's Kung Fu Panda. You can tell the difference between the prior movies and the 2024 movie. There's Zootopia. They recently came out with a trailer, and no matter how similar it looks to the first movie, the characters will never look the same because they had depth in the first one. They were also more fluffy in the first movie. You've got Shrek as well. Do I even need to explain that one? I was scared of your face too when I saw it. I know that sometimes modern animation can be great, like how the lighting can look better and more realistic, but again, I'm gonna go back to the Croods. Does this look like crappy lighting to you? And I haven't even scratched the surface as to why animated movies don't feel the same anymore, because it's not just the animation itself, it's the way they're written, especially the sequels. Take Moana 2. One of the things I'm frustrated by when it comes to sequels like these is that there is a gap in age between the first movie and the second one. She has gone from being 16 and off screen has aged all the way up to 20 years old. And you're going to tell me that in the past 4 years she's been off screen, she hasn't learned at least one new thing since the first movie. This happens in so many sequels because they think the only development that is needed is what's on screen. And if they're learning something in the movie, then yes, that's when it counts. But where's the development outside? This is why it feels like there's nothing new in the story, because the new things add almost nothing to the plotline. You have all of Moana's crew, which do nothing, and you can't even remember their names half the time. I know one's called Moni, but that's it. I can't remember the rest of them. I think one's called Lotto, and I don't know. You have Hey Hey and Pua, which are just there for the comedic effect, and they don't really even do any comedic effect. They're just there on the boat. We just have some animals on there, just emergency food, you know? The only person that played any sort of value to this movie isn't even on screen, apart from Maui, right? That's it. The Kakamura's only important quality was showing them what happened years ago to show the audience that everyone's being separated from each other, making them sad. What a riveting movie. No proper reason to pull the island up from the ocean, apart from the fact that at an eventual time, all of Moana's people would die off, which is the circle of life, so what the fuck? You're trying to cheat Te Fiti's way of life. She would not be proud. Also, the only reason why this damn clan was in the story was because of Matangi, who ended up being the most important character of the movie and was still a waste of potential to an extent. I could just keep going, but this isn't a video about Moana 2. And the fucking lightning strike was for what? She was out for 2 seconds! Let's go to Kung Fu Panda 4. Everyone knows that this franchise is very famous for its villains and their character development. Kung Fu Panda 4's villain was terrible. A really good premise to use a chameleon for a villain, but the reason why she is a villain in the first place isn't even really scratched upon. We just find out in a random section of the movie that she got rejected for being too small. Okay, can we just stop right there for a second? Because you're telling me that she was too small when you have Mantis! Good God, have you forgotten your franchise? This could have just been a mistake, but to make one in this very important scene is not okay. It completely ruins the premise of this movie, and it's such a shame as well because her character design was amazing, but they couldn't even give her a proper name. I will say this until I die. If a story is already finished, to make another will lose the passion of what made it great. Anyways, the fact is that all of these different things, the depth, the character development, the plot development, there's nothing there to make it quite as enjoyable as the past movies. The only thing that I've seen recently that is anything close to what we had back then is Transformers 1. And the Transformers franchise itself is what made me want to make this video, because you're telling me that in 2007, this masterpiece came out in live action and was able to do this well with its animation. Are you kidding me? It's a 2007 movie. We're in 2025. That's 18 years, if I'm not mistaken. That's almost 2 decades. Don't even get me started on Transformers 1. That movie was amazing. Stunning visuals, great character development, great plot development, great plot line. I highly recommend watching this movie because it was one of the best movies of the decade in my opinion. Oh yeah, also, the first Croods movie, you know, the one that I've been fussing about for most of this, is a 2013 movie. You cannot tell me that we've come this far and the only thing companies care about is using AI to make their lives easier. They have all the resources at their disposal, but they are just lazy and would rather take the easy way out and risk people's jobs. This is why we don't have any good ideas anymore. This is why animation has become what it is today. This is why they don't change, because they don't develop an actual story before creating the movie. At the end of the day, they'll get enough money to live their lives perfectly no matter whether the movie screws up or not. Well, for now anyway, seeing how there's a massive decline everywhere, that might not last long. All I can say at the end of the day is that I hope all of this changes in the future, or that maybe someone can break the cycle of this age of animation. Maybe that could be me, since I'm making a script for a new series and have a few lineups for movies, but you know, who knows what lies ahead. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end. If I missed something that you thought of, drop it down in the comments and tell me your point of views. I'll see you guys in the next one.